Yes, hello. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. This is Earl Jefferson. How are you?
All right, and who am I speaking with?
Earl Jefferson.
Okay. All right. Welcome to the For What Review. I'm your host, Little Sis, since '86. Welcome.
Um,
And I'm your host,
thank you very much.
and
Pleasure
I'm
to be here.
and I'm one of your hosts, Almighty Q. Welcome, Earl.
Thank you, sir. How are you?
All right, all right. So, Earl, just give us a little, uh, just a little bit on what you're going through and what's going on right now.
Right. So currently, I've been incarcerated for 31 years for a crime that I didn't commit. Um, I'm currently represented by Richard Michelle in the appellate division. These last few decades has been, it's been very difficult, and the criminal justice system as it's set up today is not geared towards, actually exonerating anyone. And the frustrations that my family and the community feel through my actions is very noticeable in today's with today's, high violent crime rate, violence, things of that nature. And I feel like it's really not being addressed in our community effectively.
I read your story. It's a very, very, very common thing that goes on for us in finding their own witnesses that has nothing to do with a case to nail you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
How did your lawyer?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
how did your lawyer try to fight that, or did he try to fight that?
Yes, absolutely. We had to get a material witness order from the court to produce the witness and testify on my case because the family members was interfering with the case, and eventually they got the witness to change his testimony, which led to my exoneration attempt to be denied because of one of the victim's family members who got him to change his testimony. But my attorney was instrumental in sending the investigators out and canvassing the neighborhood. Once we canvassed the neighborhood, it was easy. It was easy to determine that the homicide detective had coerced his witnesses to identify me as one of the perpetrators because the testimony that he gave was virtually impossible to have occurred. He came to court and he testified that my mother attempted to bribe him with $20,000 in 2017. But he had been interviewed by the Conviction Review Unit in 2013, and he provided them with, statements letting them know that I was not the perpetrator of the crime. And then we produced, in my exoneration hearing, we produced my mother's death certificate because my mother passed away in 2006, and he had said that he had spoken to my mother in 2017.
Wow.
So, my lawyer was very instrumental in using the investigator because, once your lawyer becomes involved, they tend to believe that, your lawyer is being paid, so he has your best interest. So we basically went through third party, which was my lead investigator, to locate this witness.
Wow. Tamika?
Okay. How do you think your 3 decades of continued incarceration have affected your family and community?
I believe it had a devastating effect on my family. In 2020, my oldest daughter passed away, Sheila Jones, from a
Oh,
heart
sorry
attack.
to hear that.
I tend to believe that, having to come see her father for all these years in prison, had a heavy toll on her and her health conditions. So it affected my family dramatically. And not only that, my community, because when you have someone who's been incarcerated for over 30 years, and you see our young men and the plight of our young men today, they have no one who they can turn to. It's like there's been a vacuum in our community where the younger generation is just following the younger generation. There's no one there to give them the proper guidance that they need to show them the pitfalls that's being laid out for them, and to explain to them that these things are traps. There's no coincidence that they start using these terminologies in our community as the trap house because of the trap. And these young men today, they have no one like me who had these experiences to let them know, like, don't fall for it. So I believe my incarceration has had a devastating effect because to be incarcerated for 30 years it really serves no purpose at this point other than a punitive punishment. Because here I am, I stand today. I have an associate's degree in liberal arts. I have a bachelor's degree in social sciences. You know, so no one is more prepared to be an asset to my community than I am.
Wow. Can you express to the people, especially the youth, how does it feel to be railroaded in a case that you definitely didn't do?
It's very easy. It's very easy. The system is systematically set up. It's geared towards convicted individuals on flimsy evidence. For example, in my case, I was arrested based on the testimony of a crack addict who said that he knew me prior to the shooting. However, he said that he knew me for a year and a half prior to the shooting. However, I was incarcerated in Elmira Correctional Facility for a year and a half prior to the shooting that I was convicted of. And these detectives knew that. You know, so it's very easy for them to manufacture these witnesses. They pulled this witness from nowhere. We have no written statements from this witness prior to the police arresting me for these homicides. So once they had me in the precinct, they were able to show him my photos, put me in what they call a show up. The show up is very suggestive because once you put an individual in a show up, there's no other people in there with me. So, of course, he's going to perceive that this is the person you wanted to say committed the crime. So it's very easy for these young men to fall into these traps and get convicted of a crime that they didn't commit. Because, you know, when you look at detectives like, you know, Officer Shamil, who manufactured evidence in over 30-something cases that have been exonerated, individuals who have been exonerated today. So you have these detectives who are overworked, and they want to close these cases, so they use flimsy evidence and whatever witnesses that they can. You know, they use these crack addicts who are often in our community and who want to get high, which happened in my case. This dude was paid $5 to identify me.
Wow.
$5. I've been in jail for 31 and a half years because the individual wanted to smoke crack.
Wow.
It's very easy for young men in our community to get caught up, and they have to be mindful, especially today with all these cameras and these recordings and everything going on in the community. These are traps that's set up for them, and you could be in an innocent, you know, situation, and they could take it and flip it on you and say that you was engaged in criminal activity.
Wow. Did you turn yourself in, or they came and got you?
Well, see, that's one of the arguments that we're arguing today. See, the district attorney, their position was that I turned myself in, which was a lie. I was on parole, so I was arrested at 340 Livingston Street. So when we requested my omnibus motion, which is the motion that your lawyer submits for discovery, we discovered that they claimed that I voluntarily surrendered to the 77th precinct, which is not true. I was arrested at 340 Livingston Street and brought to the 77th precinct.
Wow. Mika?
Wow. Okay. Do you believe that lengthy sentences like yours help prevent repeat offenses in your community?
No, absolutely not. I believe that it's on the individual. It matters not on the amount of time that the individual is incarcerated. If the individual is incarcerated and he makes the necessary changes to see that a life of crime is not for him, then he's going to return back to society a more productive member of our community. If he wants to continue to engage in criminal activity that led him to prison, he's going to do that no matter how long he's incarcerated, because he hasn't changed his mind state and his desire to, you know, exit the criminal lifestyle. So it matters not how long the individual is incarcerated, but what he does to prepare himself for reentry to society.
Wow. Did you have any back records or arrests why they wanted you so bad?
Yeah. You know, I was in a criminal lifestyle. I was selling drugs, and I was, you know, basically in my community. I was very known in my community, and I was engaging in a lot of criminal behavior. So I was arrested for a crime that they felt like I should have did time for, but because I was receiving, you know, the illegal benefits from the street life, I was financially able to get a sentence that they felt I shouldn't have had. So once I got that sentence and I was released back to society, and the detectives who canvassed my community saw me, they always had a belief that they would lock me up for a crime.
So you was definitely a target.
Absolutely, 100%. The 77th precinct.
They was like, we gonna get him.
Absolutely, because I was the crime that I was arrested for, which I should have received a lengthy sentence for, was attempted murder. But because I was able to pay, an attorney to get the sentence reduced, I wound up only serving 2 years for it.
Wow. Do you, Amika?
Okay, how many people testified in your case?
It was one individual. His name was Michael Gaylor, which was the witness who recanted his testimony to the Brooklyn District Attorney's conviction review unit in 2014. And then once we got into court, and like I told you earlier, one of his family members convinced him to change his testimony. So he came to my exoneration hearing, and he changed that testimony to implicate me again as one of the shooters in the death of his cousin. But during the process of that hearing, we discovered that the victim's mother was with him when he viewed photos of me at the precinct the night that they had arrested me, and it was the victim's mother who coerced them into identifying me as one of the perpetrators.
Wow.
Wow.
Is it true that there are inmate lawyers?
Not legal lawyers, but they have what we call paralegals, where you go through a paralegal course and you get certified as a paralegal, and you work in the law library, which is the individuals that helped me put together my initial 440, which had me in court in 2005. So I wouldn't call them actual lawyers, but they have paralegal certification where they can actually practice law and help individuals in the facility with their cases who don't understand how the law, because they use a lot of Latin terms like the average individual from our community you wouldn't understand. So they have what you call black law dictionaries where you can look up and decipher these words. But these clerks, which they call them, are very instrumental in helping individuals like myself pursue our liberties.
In your opinion, because it has been 31 years, right? So how old are you right now? 50 years old.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
50 years old. How? Well, let me just say this. Do you feel, is your sentence life?
50 years of life.
50 years to life.
Oh, no.
For 2 murders you did, murder and attempted murder, right?
No, 2 murders. Double homicide.
Double homicide that you did not do.
Yes,
50,
sir.
50 years
and
to life.
That reality. Yes, sir.
There are people out here that tackle these cases. I'm pretty sure you looked them up. I mean, and they're really good. They got a lot of people out.
Yes, sir.
You know?
Yes, sir. I'm in contact with several individuals who have been exonerated so far. Shabbat McCall.
That's right.
Richard Hamilton.
Yep.
Derek Hamilton. So basically, they definitely lend support when they can when it comes to getting me exonerated. Currently, we're still fighting because unfortunately, exoneration was denied in 2019. However, the appellate division just granted me entry and to appeal that denial. So we're still pursuing my liberty. So we're still fighting.
But just out of curiosity, why is it an automatic denial? When yet, it's clear as day, they didn't have facts.
Well, in the judge's decision, she said because the witness changed his testimony. She said that because he changed his testimony, his recantation of his testimony, they canceled each other out, so it was null and void. And then she made several inappropriate rulings when it came to the evidence that was withheld in my case, which was the Brady violation, which was statements that was withheld by the police and prosecutor from an individual who was arrested for this crime and had implicated several other individuals. And also, there was another witness who had implicated several other individuals who the hearing judge didn't allow us to call, which was a violation of my right to due process, because under the Hamilton decision, we were supposed to be able to present all evidence, both old and new, and she just precluded me from doing it. It seemed like she had a bias against me from the beginning. And I believe that it was my past criminal history and culmination with the double homicide that I was arrested for. She felt that I would be, a threat to the community if she was to release me, as opposed to looking at the individual that I am now today, because this was some 25 years later. And I believe that she still held the bias based on the evidence that the prosecutor presented from my past criminal history.
Mm.
Mika?
And let me ask you, did you know any of the people that were killed? Did you
No,
know any of the people who were killed in the case?
I had I had absolutely no relationship with them. I didn't even know who they were until I got my paperwork, and me and the lawyer that was appointed to me went over, the names of the individuals, and I informed her at the time, and I didn't know these individuals. And when we
Mm.
who the witnesses were against me, I informed her that it was impossible for these individuals to know me based on the time frame that they were saying that they knew me from, because I was incarcerated for prior crimes. So absolutely not. I had no relationship. I had no familiarity with them. I had no cause to even, pursue them. On that neighborhood. So the theory was that I was retaliating for me being shot and one of my close friends being killed. However, the individuals that they say that, I'm convicted of killing, I had no relationship with them, and I never knew them at any time. Not even the witness, Michael Geller. I never knew him at any time. Never seen him before in my life until he came to court and testified against me.
Wow.
Wow. I know this must be like overwhelming. And how do you keep your spirits up? Like,
At the end of the day, it's my support system. I have to give credit for them. I can't name them because there's so many, and if I leave somebody out, they will feel offended. But it's my family and my support system. Without a support system, it's very easy for an individual to become lost in these worlds after all this time. So I have to give credit to them, and me being, dedicated to liberating myself. So I can't get caught up into the things that happen in everyday prison life. It was easy when I came into prison. I was 18 years old, so I was involved in
mm,
criminal lifestyle because I felt my life was over. And then once I had 10, 15 years in, it was like, oh, so this is how I was. And then my family was like, they was seeing a lot of things that I was being involved in, and it was hampering the communication between me and my family. So I had to make a decision to change my life and to pursue my freedom. And that's what I've been doing ever since. So I there's a support system. Some individuals don't have it. So the only thing they can do is be consumed by the prison life. And I'm not going to allow that to happen to me.
Wow.
right. And
I
you
bet.
mentioned the family. Do you feel that you get that full family support?
I didn't hear you.
Do you feel that you get that full family support?
That full family support.
Yeah. Do you feel that you get the full family support from your friends, family, significant other?
It's very important. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. It's very important. The family support, the friend support is very important to an individual who has, to go through this struggle of incarceration, because it's very difficult. They even made it more difficult for our family and friends, because now they stop allowing our family and friends to bring us food packages and
Oh no.
cosmetics and soaps, deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrushes. They make expensive. It becomes, virtually impossible for some families to provide for their loved ones who are incarcerated.
Wow.
Wow. When did they stop that?
Huh?
When did they stop letting y'all get food packages?
Um, August 18th, I believe it was August 18th this year. They made it so our family have to go online to order from vendors who sell food online, and these prices are so high.
Wow.
You would get a $200 package before, and you would get your whole 35 pounds. Now with $200 on package, you barely get 15 to 20 pounds.
Wow.
You know, it's hard to get fresh fruits and vegetables because they can't keep them in the commissary. And when you get them in the package, they get shipped. Get to the package room, your fruits and vegetables are spoiled.
Wow. I read the story.
So it's very difficult.
I read the story. Your lawyer, wait, the story that you told, right, of your case, when your investigators went out to check that story, was it did it how you say
corroborate?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Once we was able to, the investigators were able to get a statement from the witness, Michael Geller, they was able to compare everything that he said, and it panned out that, the detectives in my community, they forced him to identify me because they just wanted to close the case. And they provided him with the information that he needed just to simply get my case to the grand jury. But there were other individuals who testified before the grand jury who subsequently we found out testified at the grand jury, and they refused to provide my lawyer with the grand jury testimony. My lawyer at the time, Mr. Darren Field, put in a request to review his grand jury testimony, only to have the testimony taken from him by the court judge and the court officer at the direction of the judge. There was testimony from a witness who implicated me as one of the perpetrators only because he was arrested for the crime.
Wow.
And they withheld that evidence from us. They told us that it didn't exist. So my lawyer made several what they call FOIA requests to the court, and the court ordered that the grand jury minutes be turned over. However, as soon as my lawyer got a copy of them, they was confiscated along with any notes that it took from the grand jury minutes. So we believe that that was a violation of my right to due process because, as you may know, we have a right to confront any witnesses against me. And to this day, we still have not been able to determine who that witness was to testify before the grand jury.
Wow. Just out of curiosity, when you went in front of the board for your hearing, what was the reason why they denied you? Because I know they had to give you one.
Oh, that's not a parole board. That's a court. That's a court hearing that's ordered by the court to determine whether or not there was enough evidence to determine my innocence. They denied me based on the witnesses changing his testimony, and the judge said that because the witness was in my presence, that I could have told the police the same thing that the witness did, and my lawyer objected, stating that I have a Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. I don't have to, voluntarily give any information that I don't know the facts of.
That's right. And you said you went to the exoneration board in 2017? Yeah. And what was the reason why they denied you?
I was in the Commission Review Exoneration Committee from 2014 to 2016. Unfortunately for me, the head prosecutor at that time, Ken Thompson, he passed away. So my case was picked up to the prosecutor who we have today, Earl Jefferson. He chose not to exonerate me, but he chose to continue the prosecution of my case.
Because he don't know your case. Well, because he don't know your case.
No, he was not familiar with it. He is not too prosecuted for the case. He simply didn't want me to agree with the exoneration, so he continued the prosecution of my case. And ultimately, it came down to the judge, who basically her decision was based on what she said in her ruling, the testimony, the changing of the testimony from Mr. Michael Geller.
Okay, let me ask you, what would you say to the Brooklyn District Attorney, Mr. Eric Gonzalez, if you could talk to him right now about the criminal justice system and these excessive sentences and sentence disparity?
Okay, that's a great question. Thank you.
All right.
Gonzalez, I see that you're doing a fine job, and you put up for exoneration over 40-something men from crooked detectives, but unfortunately, you haven't released the name of these detectives. When you say that you're about, criminal justice reform, I think that criminal justice reform would allow you to release the name of these officers who unfairly targeted and incarcerated individuals by falsifying evidence on them. So if you say that you're a man about justice and prison reform, I would think that, you will release those names. Also, you have individuals languishing in prison for decades who are ready to return to society as productive members. You have a bill before the Senate, which is geared towards amending CPL 440.45, which allows individuals who've been incarcerated for excessive amount of time to submit for resentencing. And I think you should pass that bill because you have individuals like myself who are ready to be productive members of our society to prevent young black and brown men from languishing in prisons for decades. So I think that you should step up and you should initiate the resentencing bill and support it wholeheartedly so individuals like myself can come home and be an asset to our community and stop these young men from, continuing to, recycle themselves in these juvenile justice centers and these, Department of Correction facilities.
Great.
Mm.
Great statement. Mr. Jefferson, your lawyers, the lawyers that you're working with right now,
yeah.
How do you feel about them? Or, well, I'm gonna be blunt. Do you trust them with your case?
Absolutely. If it would not have been for Mr. Fields, we would have never discovered the evidence that was withheld in my case. We would have never discovered that there was other individuals who were arrested for this crime, and the statements that they made were never turned over to us. If it wasn't for, Mr. Fields, we would have never determined that there was a second set of grand jury testimony where I was implicated by another individual who we've never been able to identify. In 31 years now, and we still don't know who was the person who testified at the grand jury that implicated me. So I believe that not for Mr. Fields, I wouldn't be in a position to liberate myself now. So I have to say wholeheartedly, my life is in his hands, and I believe that he's going to expert this far. He's not doing my appearance because that's not his specialty. However, I believe that Mr. Michelle is one of the, premier lawyers today, and I believe that he's going to exonerate me. Most recently, his last sentence reduction was for Mr. Anthony Wright, who was serving a 75 years of life sentence for the corrupt police officers who was just released from prison because Mr. Michelle was able to get him a sentence of 25 years of life to push him to the parole board, which allowed him to home with his family.
You know what's bad? When individuals get screwed by the system like that, by a crooked cop who's probably 40, 50 years old, and you're sitting in there for 10, 20, 30 years, he's dead. The lawyer the prosecutor probably who railroaded you is dead. The judge retired and dead. I mean,
you have a judge, Edward Court. He said this he's 60 years of life. And he made no company. Only to be found that he was engaged in illegal activity in family court with one of his friends where they was in extortion.
Wow.
So I find it ironic that these same judges who are sentenced to this type of time who get caught up in these schemes. And then when we bring it to the the judicial system's attention that these men have been acting very unethical, how can you allow a conviction where he sentenced an individual to such excessive time to stand?
Tamika?
Okay. Yeah, we pushed for time. We got 1 minute left. Well, we definitely have to continue this.
I would like to thank you. I would like to thank y'all for this opportunity to, express to the community what's going on with the criminal justice system in our community.
Can we call back?
Our community that this is happening. Right. It's unfortunate that we are languishing in these prisons for decades before we are actually able to be exonerated for crimes that we have committed. So I want the opportunity platform to get my story out there.
And
yes, and Mr. Jefferson, can you call back?
No, someone is behind me on the phone.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Earl Jefferson. Thank you very much.
Yes, very much.
Yes, thank you for your time. All right, and I'm gonna keep you in my prayers.
All right.
Goodbye.